Hello chess chicos and chicas. Today we are going to engage in a interactive chess lesson, you and me, or at least that is the plan, in order for me to demonstrate a couple of ideas and also ways how you can improve in general your calculation and visualization skills. And additionally to that, equally importantly as a third component there, evaluation as well, because the last one, evaluation, is not possible to conduct correctly in the vast majority of cases without the first two. And without further ado, we are going to jump right in the deep end as I'm presenting this position to you. As typical with YouTubers, especially the selfish ones like me, this position stems from a game that I played, I think today actually. My first question to you, dear viewer, is what is the evaluation of this position? Like, what is our general vibe? I would like to invite you here to answer the question to yourself when you are watching the video in a numerical term. And also, I would like to know what your favorite move is in this position for white to move. And yeah, perhaps if there is a need for it, you can back your move up with a variation. And I would like to ask you to pause the video here because I'm going to provide answers to all of these. And actually, I'm going to provide the answers with what I thought during the game. So let's start with the first batch of questions. When I had this position on the board, I thought that I was up about +2. The engine recommends, or rather suggests, that it's around 1.8, somewhere between 1.5 to 1.8. So I was pretty close to the truth. And in this position, I didn't look at any other move other than Queen F6 because it felt incredibly natural. Obviously, there is a discovery on the Queen. Among other moves, Bishop takes H3 may be a problem. Bishop G4 may be a problem. So the Queen has to go. And on F6, it felt like it was beautifully embedded in Black's kingside. And there was absolutely no forcing way to kick the Queen. Rook E6, Queen B6 would be the two. And since neither was available, I didn't even calculate lines here because it felt so good that I just decided to go with it. And in response to that, my opponent played Knight A4 with the very clear idea of wanting to take B2 and pester the rocks. And tada, we are being challenged. I have got a batch of questions and I'm very curious how you fare now. Questions will be very, very similar to the previous one. I will ask you first whether you thought it was a good move by Black or not. A different way to pose this question would be, has our advantage increased as a result of this last Black move or not? If so, what would you say is the numeric situation here? Second, and this is the most important part of the whole video, by the way, is the move you would play here and the variations that back it. Again, I would like to ask you to please pause this video because this is going to be a very interesting revelation, I think, to many of us. So, the best move in the position, which was luckily played by me, and I'm quite happy that I did so, is the most obvious move in the position, which is E5. There's absolutely no way that you should be looking at anything else first here, especially not about moves to protect B2. If you did, we have a big chat to have, or rather you have a big chat to have with your chess coach in the you need to rewire your chess department, because right now all of our pieces are optimally placed. It's almost impossible to improve any of them. Rook E3 would be perhaps the only way to make it even better, and the E5 E6 threat to rip into literally the Black king is so powerful that the fear of losing it, even with the tempo, should never ever even come close to, you know, feeling the power behind E5. So E5, that's it. The only acceptable alternative to E5 to look at is Knight F5, which comes as a very tempting idea, should black take with the pawn. But unfortunately, bishop takes f5 just completely ruins the party. So obviously that is not playable by any means. This is a move that comes to mind when the bishop departs from the diagonal. So yeah, it's e5 or yeah, nothing else comes seriously into consideration. Also note that this move very effectively deals with queen b6, which would be a way to try to bring the black pieces into the game. So for example, against the vastly inferior knight f3, going backwards in order to defend the pawn, shameful move. Queen b6 would be a very effective way to start once again rerouting the black pieces into the game. d6 is met by rook e6 and so on. So e5, no questions asked. This is by far the best move, and my opponent found here the best defense, which is rook f8, or close to the best defense. And actually I made a mistake here. So third question, how would you proceed here with white? Oh, sorry, I forgot to show you the most important idea. So after e5, of course we needed to calculate knight b2, met by e6. No other move is acceptable, because that was the point. Obviously the only legal move here for black is, or the only one that makes sense to calculate, I should rather say, is take e6, whereupon we go bishop takes g6. Once again, I think hg is not necessarily a difficult line, but you might want to calculate this. It's fine. Queen g6 here, check, back, and rook e4 with rook g4, rook h4. This is a good point to call it off with a inevitable checkmate. I think the better line to calculate, which you had to see, is rook f8. When the very cool finish is bishop takes, king takes, and again, there are myriads of checks here. Queen e7 is perhaps the cleanest. Queen h4, queen g5 is also possible. Queen e7, king, let's say g8, queen g5. So basically you check your queen to safety before you go in for the rook lift. If you calculated e6d, bishop g6, and then you calculated the retake to mate, and you calculated rook f8 to force the win, you have conducted a beautiful business. Shout out to you. Fantastic work. So with that, now we can move on to the game rook f8. The question here is, what is white's best move, and what are the variations that justify it? And by the way, whilst I am in the process of presenting this to you, I think I'm making an incredibly strong case for my theory that any position at all is a perfect calculating exercise. I just randomly pulled out the last game that I played, and tada, here we go. Full of incredibly rich variations, lines, the whole lot is there. So, white to move, what would you do? What are the lines? This is your golden chance to play much better chess than I have, because I did not follow off through here, unfortunately, the way I should have. I found an idea that I got really attracted to, and unfortunately I went for that. I shouldn't have. So pause the video if you would like to figure it out. Here comes the big reveal. The best move, of course, would have been to follow through with the plan, even though now fe is a double attack on the queen. I did see here queen g5, and I don't remember why I ended up rejecting this line, because I even saw queen d5, rook e5, which is one of the most important lines to see, because if we don't have rook e5, then the queen trade offer is going to thwart the attack successfully. Although knight f5 may be good here too, but rook e5 is a lot more forcing, and then bishop takes g6 is carnage city, so that is game over. I briefly looked at rook f7, and then I don't know why, but I chickened out here. I saw that I couldn't take because of the pin. And unfortunately, this is very, very shallow on my end, because knight takes e6, fe6, and then rook e6 is just completely killing here with the idea of bishop takes g6 next. That's one of the many winning ideas. But once again, I just didn't find this clear enough because I didn't spend enough time on it. And as I was looking at this position, I thought to myself, why don't I just go h4, h5, h6? Now, h4 is the second best move in the position, but this is nowhere near the strength and the forceful stuff that e6 is. And so I should be reprimanded for h4. And I also overlooked here a very clever defending source for black, which would be to move the rook away somewhere, followed by queen d8, offering a queen trade just on time before the pawn gets to h6. This would have been incredibly obnoxious. Textbook case of how hesitation is one of the greatest killers of initiative, winning positions, attacks, promising situations. You just need to follow through. This would have been such a golden opportunity to bring in more pieces, to create new threats. Yeah, it's just a whole lot. It's very, very shameful that I didn't play this. Anyway, h4, and here comes the last calculating exercise that we need to conduct. Opponent followed up their plan logically, I suppose, with knight b2, and only one question remains. Calculate the consequences of h5. Basically tell me, is it winning, is it losing, is it the best, do we have better move, what's the story? And once again, try your best to back up your claims with variations. So pause the video for the last time, please. Try to get through this and see how you go. And now comes the reveal. So h5 is a completely winning move, and again should be played. The very obvious follow through to what I have played. And of course, when I played h4, that was the only thing that I calculated. So I did it a move before compared to you. Not bragging, but I had to. h5, two ideas basically that we need to look at here. No, it's basically one. I take it back. And that is knight d1. I mean, I can look at h6, I suppose, but after takes on g6, yeah, but no. No, let's take d1, because this hangs e1 with check. And that may look scary. So now the correct line that we needed to see all the way to the end, and I'm very, very happy that I did, because otherwise I would feel a little bit goofy presenting this to you, is that after h6, queen e1 check, king h2, queen takes e5 check, queen takes e5, pawn f6. At that point, we are dead lost on material, for the record, which is why we had to calculate this. So at that point, I have queen e7 with mate threat on g7, and the only move that stops the mate is rook f7, which hangs the rook. This, in my opinion, is a textbook case of a multi-step hurdle in calculation and visualization. And let me explain to you from a coach's perspective what those hurdles are. So when you ask the question of whether h5 is winning or not, many people would forget that after knight d1 h6, the rook is hanging with check. That's hurdle 1. I would assume that most people watching this video would not have stumbled upon that whole hurdle. The bigger hurdle is to see that actually black has taken 2 rooks. And so it's open game, every move is a candidate, and so queen e5 has to be calculated. Many people would stop here thinking, mate next. No. Then the next hurdle would be that they didn't see f6. Unlikely. And the final hurdle to see that, yeah, queen e7 is a forced mate. Pretty cool stuff. Sorry, not forced mate, but rook f7 is the only move, and that hangs the rock. Now, to provide context, I'm going to show you the entirety of the game, because I don't want I want to give you the context, because, or rather the game, to demonstrate that my claim that every position can be a calculating exercise is valid in the sense that I very often back it up, or rather demonstrate it through checkmate attacks or attacking positions. If you look through the game, you will realize that this game did not start off like a raging kingside attack at all. It's a very, very bad line in the bet on e4 black, but as you can see, there's a fair bit of toing and froing, for example, here on the queen side. Right? So right now, this looks like an immensely rich middle game scenario where it's not crystal clear who is better, who is doing what, which side of the board. I mean, now white is more or less destined to play king side / center, and black is center queen side. But nonetheless, there's no attack on the board whatsoever. And actually, I did play a fair few bad moves. I should have taken b5. I didn't want to open up the b file. I then played this queen e3 move, horrid stuff. Then I swung across to g3 to somewhat justify it. And so it was more circumstantial that after these trades, I ended up in a position where finally an attack could unfold. And so what I also would like to demonstrate with this is that attacking positions usually don't just, fall out of the sky, or you had to play gambits to get there. Not at all. Very often, they just become a result of certain trades, certain maneuvers, and it's very easy to overlook the opportunity to turn a position into an attack exactly because of that. Because they are circumstantial. You didn't go for it, not with that intention at least. You didn't play a gambit where you were guaranteed some initiative from move 3. It just happened to be the case on the board. And so it's very easy to walk past. It's easy to overlook that we are dominating the center, that we have got two black pieces completely shut out of operation. And so when they even further commit to, shut these pieces out of business and isolate them on the other side of the board, then you go like, baby, it's crunch time, and we go with e5. So that was it for today, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you liked it. I wanted to do something different, but this is definitely my favorite topic, one of my most favorite topics in chess, calculation, evaluation. And yeah, I hope that you liked it. I hope you did well. I also hope that if you didn't quite find those lines, you found it inspirational to engage with these types of positions. And now, without further ado, I'm going to ask you just one more thing, and that is to chuck a like. Smack that like button. Please leave a comment down below. Subscribe if you haven't done so. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.